Picture this, a young hustler from Detroit's rough streets rises to command one of the biggest drug rings in U.S. history. Terry Flenory, better known as Southwest T, teamed up with his brother Demetrius Big Meech Flenory to launch the Black Mafia family or BMF. They turned small-time deals into a coast-to-coast cocaine empire worth hundreds of millions, mixing street smarts with flashy connections in music and beyond. But glory came with brutal costs. Southwest T dodged bullets in a 2005 shooting that nearly ended it all while forging risky ties to Mexican cartel kingpin El Chapo through a high-stakes jewelry swap. From laundering cash to outrunning feds, their story packs violence, betrayal, and raw ambition. Dive into the gritty details of Terry's crimes, his narrow escapes, and the empire that captivated a generation. You'll uncover the real twists that inspired TV hits and left crime fans hooked. Stick around, this ride gets wild. Terry Flenory's rough start in Detroit. Terry Flenory grew up in the tough corners of Southwest Detroit, where poverty and opportunity clashed daily. Born in 1969, he shared a cramped home with his brother Demetrius and their family after their parents split. Money stayed tight and the streets whispered promises of quick cash. Young Terry and Demetrius watched neighbors hustle, and soon they stepped into that world themselves. Their early moves set the stage for the massive empire they would build, but it all started with small risks in a city hungry for drugs. First steps into the drug trade. The Flenory brothers dove into the drug game as teens in the late 1980s. They linked up with a local crew called the 50 Boyz, a gang that slung cocaine in Southwest Detroit. These weren't big operations yet. They peddled small bags for about $50 each. That price undercut rivals across the city, drawing in buyers fast. Terry and Demetrius hit the pavement hard, making hand-to-hand deals under streetlights and dodging watchful eyes. They picked up the trade at lightning speed. No books or mentors guided them, just raw experience from the corners. They learned to spot reliable suppliers, count cash without mistakes, and sense trouble before it hit. One wrong move could mean a beating or worse, but they adapted quick. By watching older dealers and testing their own limits, the brothers turned street smarts into system. Their early hustle built trust in the neighborhood, word spreading about the reliable duo from the Flenory block. Youth brought bold risks that shaped their path. Around ninth grade, both quit school to chase the drug life full-time. Classrooms felt like dead ends when the streets offered real power. They poured hours into deals, often staying out late into the night. Police patrolled heavy in Detroit back then, and rivals lurked everywhere. A bad connection or a snitch could land them in juvie or deeper trouble. Yet they pushed on, balancing fear with the rush of control. Imagine trading textbooks for baggies at 15. That's the gamble they took, eyes wide open to the dangers. The pull of easy money hooked them deep. Their family scraped by after the divorce, with Terry and Demetrius stepping up as providers. Regular jobs paid peanuts, flipping burgers or stocking shelves for chump change. Drugs flipped that script. A good day on the block meant stacks in their pockets, enough to buy clothes, food, and respect. It beat watching mom struggle or siblings go without. That cash flow built confidence, letting them dream bigger than the block. Key factors drove their quick rise in those early days. Low entry barriers. Joining the 50 Boyz gave them instant access without starting from scratch. Competitive pricing. $50 bags beat the market, pulling in steady customers. Family pressure. Becoming earners at home forced them to succeed or sink. By the mid-1980s, the brothers outgrew the small-time crew. They broke away from the 50 Boyz and networked with heavier hitters like dealer Rolfo Bolo Morno. This shift opened doors to larger cocaine shipments, planting seeds for multi-state operations. Terry's sharp eye for deals shown here. He negotiated with confidence, turning contacts into pipelines. What began as corner sales evolved into something organized, with the brothers at the helm. Those first steps tested their grit. They faced arrests, fights, and close calls, but each win fueled the fire. Detroit's drug scene rewarded the bold, and the Flenorys grabbed it with both hands. Their story shows how young ambition mixed with desperation sparks empires from nothing. Rising to power with the Black Mafia family. The Flenory brothers did not stay small for long. After breaking free from the 50 Boyz, Terry and Demetrius built the Black Mafia family into a force that spanned the country. They turned raw street deals into a slick operation, pulling in cocaine by the ton and stacking cash that funded lavish lives. Terry stepped up as the brains behind the logistics, pushing BMF from Detroit's shadows into national spotlight. Their rise mixed smart moves with bold risks, creating an empire that fed on ambition and dodged dangers at every turn. You can feel the tension in how they scaled up, always one step ahead of rivals and cops. Expanding from Detroit to the West Coast. Terry took charge of BMF's West Coast push, planting roots in Los Angeles to tap into fresh supply routes. He saw the potential in LA's ports, where Mexican cartels funneled cocaine straight into the U.S. by the early 2000s. Terry set up shop there, turning the city into BMF's main gateway for drugs. He built a tight network of drivers and stash houses, making sure shipments flowed smooth from the border to distribution points across states like Alabama and Florida. His days in LA meant constant hustle on supply lines. Terry oversaw massive loads, often hidden in family or in car services that blended right into traffic. Picture semis rolling in with tons of powder tucked away, ready to break down into kilos for the road. He negotiated hard with cartel contacts, locking in deals that kept costs low and quality high. This setup let BMF flood markets from Kentucky to North Carolina, growing their reach far beyond Detroit's blocks. Challenges hit hard during this expansion. Federal agents shadowed Terry's moves, using wiretaps to listen in on calls and track his team's paths. Shipments faced risks too, like border patrols or double-crossing insiders who could tip off the law. Terry stayed low-key, unlike his brother's flashy style, but that caution sometimes sparked arguments within BMF. One slip, like a seized truck, could cut off their flow and invite raids on safe spots. Still, Terry's wins stacked up quick. He turned LA into a powerhouse hub, securing steady shipments that pushed BMF's earnings past $270 million. His careful planning built a supply chain that felt almost like a legit business, with routes mapped out and backups in place. To cover tracks, they funneled drug money into BMF Entertainment, backing hip-hop acts and clubs that masked the real cash flow. Key elements fueled Terry's success out west. Cartel partnerships, direct ties to Mexican suppliers ensured top-grade cocaine at bulk prices. Discreet transport, using everyday vehicles, hid big hauls from prying eyes. Team loyalty, Terry picked reliable hands who knew the stakes and stuck close. These moves cemented BMF's power, but they also drew the noose tighter. Terry's role in LA showed his edge in operations, balancing growth with survival in a world full of threats. The empire boomed, yet every win carried the weight of what might come next. Deep ties to cartels and shady deals. The Black Mafia family did not build its empire on luck alone. Terry Flenory dove headfirst into the dangerous world of Mexican cartels, chasing steady cocaine flows that could fuel BMF's growth. These partnerships turned small risks into massive rewards, but they also invited betrayal and bullets. Picture Terry navigating a web of shadowy figures where one wrong word could end everything. His moves here revealed the raw edge of the drug trade, blending street cunning with high-stakes diplomacy. The hunt for reliable suppliers. Terry Flenory knew BMF needed top suppliers to stay ahead. He focused on Mexico, where cartels controlled the cocaine pipeline. Around 2000, he forged direct links with these groups, setting up operations in Los Angeles as the key entry point. Shipments rolled in through West Coast ports loaded with kilos hidden in vehicle compartments. Terry oversaw the process, turning raw powder from cartel labs into BMF's lifeblood. Sourcing worked like clockwork at first. Cartels sent massive loads across the border, often tucked inside everyday cars or trucks that blended into traffic. Terry's team broke them down in LA stash houses, then shipped portions east for distribution. This setup let BMF flood cities from Atlanta to Detroit with high-quality product. Without these ties, the empire would have crumbled under spotty supplies and rising costs. But risks shadowed every deal. Mexican cartels ran on violence, partners faced threats of torture or hits if payments lagged. Betrayal loomed large too, with insiders flipping sides for quick cash or grudges. Border crossings invited DEA ambushes where agents seized trucks and flipped drivers into snitches. One bust in the early 2000s nearly exposed BMF's full network, forcing Terry to reroute and burn bridges fast. These dangers kept everyone on edge, turning simple handoffs into tense standoffs. Trust proved the toughest part in this underworld game. Terry built it through personal bonds, flying to Mexico for face-to-face meets with cartel bosses. He stressed reliability, always paying on time and delivering on promises. Consistent orders showed BMF as a solid buyer, not some fly-by-night crew. Over time, these habits earned respect. Cartels saw Terry as a partner worth protecting, yet trust stayed fragile. A single rumor of disloyalty could spark raids or worse, so Terry kept communication tight and favors flowing both ways. Consider the stakes. One cartel alliance meant millions in product, but it also painted a target on your back. Terry's careful steps here powered BMF's peak, yet they sowed seeds for the fall. Law enforcement closed in as these ties grew bolder, wiretaps catching whispers of deals gone south. In the end, the hunt for suppliers defined the thrill and terror of their world. Close calls and violent encounters. Life in the Black Mafia family meant living on the edge where every deal could turn deadly. Terry Flenory faced bullets, betrayals, and badges that closed in fast. These moments tested his will to survive, pulling him deeper into a world of raw violence. The streets demanded constant vigilance, and Terry learned that lesson the hard way. Surviving the streets' dangers. Terry Flenory stared down death more than once, with rivals and cops always a step behind. The drug trade turned friends into foes overnight, and one slip meant paying with blood. You can picture the tension: shadows in alleyways, whispers of hits, and the crack of gunfire that changed everything. In 2005, bullets ripped through Terry's world during a brutal shooting in Los Angeles. He took a shot to the stomach that left him fighting for life. Doctors called it a miracle he pulled through, but the pain lingered as a reminder of the enemies circling BMF. Rivals saw Terry's rise as a threat, and they struck hard to knock him out of the game. That attack came amid growing beefs over territory, where a wrong look or unpaid debt sparked instant violence. BMF's clashes with other crews added layers of danger. Take the 2004 killing of Rationable Drummond in an Atlanta club parking lot. BMF members linked to the hit fired shots in a fit of rage over disrespect. These fights often exploded from small slights, turning parking lots into battlegrounds. Guns blazed, fists flew, and bodies hit the ground, all to claim control of the streets. Terry stayed in the mix, directing his team while dodging the fallout from such bloody nights. Law enforcement piled on the pressure, turning every move into a close call. The DEA tracked BMF for years, planting wiretaps and sending undercover agents to infiltrate the ranks. Terry felt their eyes everywhere, from LA stash houses to Detroit drops. One wrong phone call or suspicious tale could end the empire. Agents built cases on whispers and seized shipments, forcing Terry to switch routes and burn phones just to stay free. By 2005, that heat led straight to his arrest, a net that snapped shut after endless evasion. These threats shaped Terry into a survivor. Rivals brought the chaos of street wars, while feds added the slow grind of pursuit. Each escape built his legend, but it wore him down. BMF's power came at a cost, one etched in scars and lost allies. Key close calls defined those years. The 2005 stomach shooting, a direct hit from enemies that nearly killed Terry in LA. Rival shootings like Drummond's murder, BMF's violent pushback in Atlanta, escalating gang tensions. DEA wiretaps and tails, constant federal shadows that built to the 2005 bust. Terry beat the odds time and again, but the dangers never faded. His story grips you because it shows the real price of power in the shadows. The flashy side: money, music, and downfall. The Black Mafia family did not just stack cash, they lived it loud. Terry Flenory and his brother turned drug profits into a dazzling display of wealth that spilled over into the music world. Bentleys, mansions, and diamond chains marked their style, but it all masked the dark turn ahead. Their push into hip-hop fused street cred with stardom, drawing crowds and feds alike. Yet that shine faded fast when the law struck back hard, toppling the empire in a blaze of raids and trials. From drug lords to music moguls, Terry Flenory saw music as the perfect cover for BMF's cash flow. He launched BMF Entertainment in the early 2000s, a label that signed rising rap stars and threw lavish parties. This move washed dirty money clean while building fame. Artists rapped about the streets, echoing BMF's own grind without naming names. Picture drug kings posing with microphones, turning kilos into beats that blasted from clubs across the South. The label backed talents like Young Jeezy, whose tracks shouted out the empire's vibe. Jeezy's rise tied straight to BMF's network. He moved product early on, then flipped that hustle into platinum records. Terry handled the business side, funding videos and tour with laundered funds. Events like the BMF St. Patrick's Day Bash in Atlanta drew thousands, blending parties with subtle deals in VIP rooms. This mix pulled in celebrities and fans, making BMF a cultural force beyond the blocks. Wealth showed in every detail. Terry rolled in a fleet of luxury cars, each customized with gold rims that caught the sun. He dropped millions on jewelry like chains heavy enough to slow a man down. Homes in LA and Detroit overflowed with marble floors and plasma screens, spots for crews to unwind after runs. But this flash bred envy. Rivals watched close and whispers reached the streets. The music angle amplified it all, letting BMF claim the spotlight while hiding the shadows. Hip-hop ventures paid off big. BMF Entertainment scored hits that topped charts, pulling in legit revenue to mix with the illicit stacks. Artists gained street authenticity from the connection, while Terry gained respect as a mogul. Yet fame cut both ways. It spotlighted their moves, inviting tips to authorities and fueling beefs with other crews. The blend of crime and culture created a legend, but it also lit the fuse for their crash. Key ways BMF merged drugs and music. Artist signings backed rappers who shared their world like Jeezy to build buzz and launder funds. High-profile events, parties that mixed fun with business, drawing crowds and masking deals. Luxury displays, flashy assets that screamed success, tying street power to entertainment glamour. This chapter hooked a generation, showing how outlaws chased dreams in rhymes and riches. The raid that ended it all. Federal agents finally closed the trap on BMF in 2005, after years of watching from the shadows. The DEA's Operation Motor City Mafia built a rock-solid case with wiretaps, surveillance, and insider tips. They hit hard in October, raiding spots from Detroit to LA and scooping up over 150 players in one sweep. Terry got nabbed in St. Louis, Missouri, while his brother fell in Frisco, Texas. The bust shattered their network overnight. Agents seized cars, cash, and stashes worth millions, cutting off the empire's veins. Wiretaps caught Terry's voice on calls about shipments, proving he ran the West Coast flow. The raids exposed stash houses packed with kilos and ledgers tracking every dollar. No escape this time, teams stormed in at dawn, guns drawn and warrants waved. BMF's flashy world crumbled under spotlights and cuffs, ending the free ride. Court battles dragged on, but the evidence piled high. In 2008, Terry and his brother each copped guilty pleas to running a criminal enterprise and laundering money. Judges handed down 30-year sentences, slamming the gavel on their reign. Terry served time in federal lockup, facing the weight of lost freedom. Other crew members, like Tory Sims, drew matching 30-year hits for pushing cocaine nationwide. The fallout rippled wide. Communities breathed easier with BMF gone, though scars from the violence lingered. Terry earned an early out during the COVID-19 wave, a twist that sparked debates on mercy for kingpins. His brother stayed locked up, denied release over fears he'd jump back in. This end marked a win for the feds, but it left fans wondering about the man behind the myth. The raid stripped away the glamour, revealing the cold cost of their path. Terry's legacy in crime stories today. Terry Flenory's story refuses to fade. His role in the Black Mafia family lives on in gripping tales that pull crime fans back to the streets. From scripted dramas to raw documentaries, Southwest T's calculated moves and narrow escapes fuel fresh narratives. These stories capture the raw pull of ambition and betrayal, keeping BMF's empire alive in our minds. You feel the pulse of Detroit and LA through every plot twist. The rise of the BMF TV series. The Starz hit BMF brings Terry's world to life since 2021. Now in its fourth season as of 2025, the show stars Demetrius Lil Meech Flenory Jr. as Big Meechin portrays Terry as the sharp Southwest T running LA ops. Executive producer Curtis 50 Cent Jackson amps up the drama with real events mixed into intense scenes of deals and shootouts. Fans love how it shows family bonds cracking under cartel pressure. This series hooks you with its fast beats and true grit, turning Terry's quiet smarts into a character you root for. Documentaries that reveal the real deal. Starz's The BMF documentary, Blowing Money Fast, digs deeper with exclusive talks. Terry speaks out for the first time, sharing his side of the empire's $270 million run. It pairs with the show to give unfiltered views on violence and hip-hop ties. These docs pull back the curtain on how BMF shaped street culture. Watch them, and you see why Terry's survival tales still spark debates among true crime buffs. Lasting echoes in culture and media. BMF's Flash inspires books and films that blend crime with music worlds. Terry's legacy as a planner in a flashy crew influences new stories of outlaws chasing the dream. Even from a re-entry program, his name draws crowds. Crime lovers keep coming back, drawn to the mix of loyalty and downfall that defined his path.